Recently, there has been a lot of interest in John Muir. Probably it's because of a exhibit, a walk in the wild at the Oakland Museum of California about John Muir, that got us thinking about him. Now, John isn't buried here in the cemetery. He's buried at his manse in Martinez. But we realized that a lot of the people that he worked with in the founding of the Sierra Club, such as Henry Singer, and a lot of his friends like William Keith, the landscape artist, and Ina Coolbrith, the poet laureate of California, are buried here. And probably even some of his family. We're working on the research of that, but there is a person, Hugh Muir, who may well be an unknown half-brother of John's. Now, in addition to other conservationists buried at Mountain View Cemetery, there are some who were not conservationists, such as Anthony Chabot, who is well known because, I should say, he's infamous because of the hydraulic mining that destroyed so many mountains in the Sierra. This cemetery is unbelievable. It was dedicated in 1865, just shortly after the Civil War, and at that time Oakland was just a bit over 10 years old, and the city of Oakland was 2 miles from the cemetery. It was never thought that the city would grow up around the cemetery. And we have another connection with Muir in that Frederick Law Olmsted, who was famous for Central Park in New York, was also the landscape artist of this cemetery. He was at Yosemite about 5 years before Muir, and later served on the board of directors of the Sierra Club. So he knew Muir very well. Now, we know John Muir because of all of his friends that were buried here spent many funerals at this cemetery. As an example of a friend and a charter member of the Sierra Club, we have the gravesite here of Joseph LeConte. LeConte was born in the South and actually lived on a plantation with slaves, but he trained to be a physician at the New York College of Physicians and Surgeons, but then went back and did graduate work at Harvard in natural history, and then left the South after the Civil War because he had served in the Confederate Army and found the environment not so accepting to him. So he came out to be one of the first professors at UC Berkeley, and where he taught natural history, botany, and geology. And he was so loved by his students that they took him up to Yosemite in the first summer after he began teaching, and he met Muir in 1870, and he returned every summer to be with Muir, and he was actually going to be buried there, but when he died the night before the first Sierra Club trip, his family decided to have him buried at Mountain View, but they did bring this gravestone, which is granite from Glacier Point, to memorialize where he is buried here. So our tour will have a lot of people who worked with John Muir, and we'll have a lot of people who opposed John Muir's interest in conservation. John Muir loved everything that was natural and found spiritual value in it, and our tour will include all of these values of John Muir.